G'day, I'm Pete and I'm the Aussie Bush Cop. I'm going to be sharing with you some stories about my time in the New South Wales Police Force. I had a tumultuous time as a police officer up there, and because of that I decided to retire and move to this beautiful island in the middle of Bass Strait called King Island, where I became a homesteader. I had chickens and ducks and Highland cattle and a whole bunch of stuff going on where this is my cure for being in the New South Wales Police Force, and look forward to sharing my stories with you. G'day everybody, thanks so much for joining me again. This is a special episode of the Aussie Bush Cop because it's the last one. As a few people have already said in comments, wondered how many stories there are. Well, I've come to the end of the stories. And I just wanted to do this episode to talk about what it's been like to do this. We've been going now just more than a year, and it has exceeded any expectations that I had, and we've now got over 300,000 views, 4,000 subscribers, hundreds and hundreds of great comments. People that there's people that I've never met, but I feel like they've become friends. There is one man that we actually did a video call, a man that lives not even in Australia, and I did a video call with him, and it was such a pleasure and an honour to speak to him via a video call. And when we started this, I spoke to Wade and said, because I was after information about recording equipment, and Wade said, no, don't worry about that, Pete. He said, I can do it for you. And so the success of this channel falls to a considerable degree, because I just wouldn't have been able to do it without Wade's assistance and technical advice. Anyway, but when now I accept that some of what I'm about to say will probably miss most people, and that's okay. But it needs to be said nonetheless. When you're in the police, it is by nature a solitary experience. And what I mean by that has a number of aspects. One is that policing, when is done, everything you do in the police falls on your shoulders. And that is, if you're interested, you want to see the legal reasons for that, have a look at a decision known as Miller versus Knox, 1838. Miller, spelled M-I-L-L-E-R, versus Knox, spelled K-N-O-X, 1838. And in that decision, back in jolly old England, the judge made the finding that police, their constabulary, do not have bosses. Everything we do is because we have original authority spelled with capital O and capital A. When you walk out onto the parade to get sworn in, you walk off with a different title, the title of constable. And that means your authority is original, and that is as opposed to the military, which is a delegated authority. If you're a private in the army and the major comes up and says, dig a trench from here to there, you go and dig a trench from here to there. But the police is not like that. And so that's one of the reasons why policing is a solitary thing to do. Everything you do will fall upon your shoulders. The legal term is carriage of the matter. But beyond that, at a psychological level, because of the nature of police work, which is often traumatic, which is often at the very, very edge of most people's experience, that it becomes a very personal thing, and you don't really want to talk about it. Not many people, in fact, exceedingly few people, want to know. It's like you go off and do your job. We know that your job's going to be difficult, but we don't want to think about it, and even less, we don't want you to tell us about it. Well, whilst that's true of the general public, it is even strangely true within police themselves, because police do not want to talk to other police about the trauma that goes with what you see and what you have to do in the police, because if they allow themselves to think about it at a psychological level, I'm talking about, not at a practical level, at a legal level, I mean at a psychological level, if you allow someone to talk to you like that, then I have to juggle my own uncomfortable thoughts. And that is a very, or can be a really dark place. And by dark I also mean solitary. So what's happened in the last 12 months since I've been telling my stories and getting the response from folk like yourselves, I've found that it's given me a perspective that's been a really healthy perspective. I realise that there's a tremendous amount of people out there that say really valuable things back to me, things that have really humbled me, things that have made me realise that what I did all that time back then and for how long I did it was truly valuable. Because when you don't have that point of reference, and the point of reference meaning you and your comments, I don't really know what that's like, or the value of it. And since I've been thinking about this this subject, the picture that's come into my mind, and I'm a visual person, and the picture that's come into my mind is of a coal miner. Coal mining, not as in they do it now. One of my very best friends, a bloke named John Usher, who I've known since I was born. John was born in 1941, so he's got quite a few years on me. And John was a miner, but not in the way that John Usher used to mine with big machines. I'm talking about a coal miner with a pick and a shovel in a tiny little, cave or a tunnel, and you're picking away. And the coal has been shunted back to where it goes, and then it becomes valuable. People realise its value, and the picture that I've had of what it was like being in the police was really like being that solitary coal miner. And and then later on, people realised the value of that coal, that they can heat their homes and cook their food. And it's a beautiful and wonderful thing to realise how much what I did was valued by folks such as yourselves. The other thing that's brought it into, another thing that I'd like to share with you about it is that because of where I live, we have a 30-acre property where we live, and there's a really lovely spot not far from where we used to record, over where my hut is. And I've decided quite some time ago that that's where I'm going to be buried. I just have to make sure I die in the summer, because it's a pretty wet spot to get there during the winter. And I'm not being morbid about that. Death has no fear, no mystery for me because of my faith. And but I know where I'm going to die. Well, I know where I'm going to be buried. It's underneath these two beautiful blackwood trees. But I know that because of my former role as a police officer, that when I pass on, I will have a member of the New South Wales Police Protocol Unit there at my funeral. And I will have the great honour of having the Australian flag draped over my coffin. And I saw that when my father died, and he was a World War II veteran, served up in New Guinea. And when my father died, he had one of my brother-in-laws was a retired regimental sergeant major from the Australian Army. His name was John Stone, and John was a career soldier. And John, being a regimental sergeant major, if you know anything about the Army, you know that they're the really tough dudes on the program and in charge of all things protocol. And my father's medals were displayed on his coffin, and the Australian flag draped over his coffin. I too will have the same honour of having that happen with me. And I guess, you know, doing these podcasts and having that perspective that I now have about the work that I did brings even that into sharper focus for me. I know that being a policeman or a policewoman is certainly not in everybody's list of things they want to do. But despite the bad things that happen and the things that one has to do, those things, I can tell you with a very clear conscience, pale into insignificance when I think about the honour that it was to be to be a member of the New South Wales Police Force. To be a member of Her Majesty's Police Force is an incredible honour, and I'm so very, very pleased that for a period of time I was able to do that. And to get to share these stories, and maybe just as another aside before I finish, is that it leaves a record of my time. And I have grandchildren, some of them reasonably young, and who knows, maybe one day I might have great-grandchildren. They might think, well, I wonder what old Pa used to get up to. And here, you know, via YouTube, there's some record of that. And I just thank you so very much for your attendance to watching these podcasts, and some of the people that there's been a lot of people who just are regular commentators on these podcasts, and I can't tell you just how much blessing that you have been to me, and you will continue to do so. We will continue to do the regular catch-up that we do with Mike, the Texan policeman, each Friday. We are going to do a podcast about my life as a homesteader. That will be a standalone episode. You know, everything from, you know, milking a cow to everything else that I do. I'll leave that. I won't talk about that too much now. But I'll finish just with saying what a blessing it's been, and we'll see you around the traps.